Welcome to episode 4 of Getting to Know the Mistress. Today we're going to have a look at the various electronic elements of the bike, those that help tune it and get it down the track, and also the rider's aids which help us be as consistent as we possibly can. The orange box we can see here with the grey cord is a Screaming Eagle Super Tuner. It's used to interface between a computer and the motorcycle's computer. It can have a record function, which I use to record shift points and stuff like that. It's a very basic data logger, but its main purpose is to tune the motorcycle for different fuels or different environments. Being a fuel injected bike without oxy sensors, the tune in it is what you've got for wherever you are. I'm fortunate enough to have had Jordan from Jordan's Speed and Custom do me 3 or 4 tunes for different fuels and also different areas, so that I can try them out. Some make a difference, some don't. It just depends on how far out the air is when we're at a Pacific track. Here we can see we've got the bike tuned, so now we're going to set it up to go down the track. The 2 dials in there control the mount the engine revs wherever it's on full throttle and my finger is on the launch button. It's adjustable in 100 and 1000 RPM increments, and at the moment it'll be set round about 5000 or 5100 RPM. So as I go into stage, finger on the button, full throttle, the bike will only rev to whatever I've got that set at. That makes for consistent launch RPM, and you're not worried about looking at a tacho. You just full throttle and waiting for the light. The next aid in getting the bike down the track consistently is the shift light. Now it's fully programmable, and I can set the shift RPM for whatever gear I want. At the moment it will be set for around about the 9500 RPM mark, which is just about just above maximum horsepower, and when I change gears it ensures the bike doesn't fall too far down the torque curve, so that I'm up and ready for the next gear. Every time it does this, you can see it firing up there. So 9520 is the shift point for first gear. You can also see there oil pressure light and a neutral light. At the moment that 0 means the bike's not running. It would be showing around about 2000 RPM when the bike is warmed up and idling. The next item we're looking at is the launch control button. Now on a lot of bikes this would be a clutch lever, but on my bike with a centrifugal clutch, the switch is actually just that, it's a switch. So wherever my thumb is on that button, the bike will only rev to whatever I've got that module that we first looked at set to. As the lights run down, I let the button go and move it across to the shift button. In 1.4 seconds thereabouts, I'm going bang into second gear. Another couple of seconds I'm into third. Another couple of seconds I'm into fourth. That's 6 seconds. Another couple of seconds and I'm into fifth. And then hold it in fifth all the way across the finishing line, and then I shut off the throttle. The other switches you can see there on that switch block, if I can get them to focus, there we go. They're actually data acquisition switches, the 2 rocker switches. I don't use those, but the bike has the capability to have a full-on data logger connected to it, and all that wiring harness, etc. is up underneath the seat. Under the rear of the seat you can see the data acquisition plug. It's the one with the red blind in it. As I mentioned, I don't use that. The next one back under all the tape is the ignition kill module. To change gears without a clutch, the bike needs to take the load off the gearbox. So that's programmable, and you can set it up to kill the motor for just so many milliseconds. Mine's set on its fastest setting, and it seems to work for me. Just enough to let the air shifter punch the motor through another gear. That's the air shifter bottle there. It will be normally pressurised to 140 psi before a run and will drop to just below 85, 90 psi after a full quarter mile run. A lot of people confuse it with a nitrous bottle. It's not. The bike is naturally aspirated. The air shifter reservoir is connected via a solenoid to that ram you can see there, and it will actuate the gear lever every time I push the handlebar button. Only go up, so 4 gear changes from first. I'll manually put the bike into first gear before I go into stage. The 2 toggle switches you can see there that I've got named the complexity increaser, a little bit of fun. The top one is for a mental block. The top one is for a compressor which I've got mounted up near under the airbox. The bottom one is for the fans and the computer on the bike. F stands for fans, R stands for race, and in the middle position where it is now is just the bike's ECU will operate the temperature normally. Now we have that because below 85 degrees the bike will not rev, and if you get caught out at the start line and you're not quite hot enough, you'll end up going down the track going on the rev limiter. The bike won't go as fast as you need it to. So we would just switch that to race just to make sure. That tricks the ECU into thinking the bike's hot enough whether it is or not, and end of the problems. Coming back up the return road, I can idle the bike while Mon's tailing me back, flick it over to fans, and that will help cool the oil and the engine temperature coolant down. It won't take all the heat out of the motor, but it will help just a little bit. With the airbox cover removed, you can quite clearly see the fuses, the coolant reservoir cap, and the 2 velocity stacks, and there is the little compressor that I mentioned earlier. All that has to come out, by the way, and the battery tucked away down in there if you want to get at the front spark plug. Yeah, nearly an hour's work just to change the front spark plug. The rear one, nice and easy. There it is there in the centre of the screen, about 3 minutes. You can also see the fuel cap. The bike has a standard V-Rod fuel tank in it. We only ever run 3 to 4 litres of fuel in there to conserve weight, and also to enable us to do 2 runs if we need to, back to back. Speaking of fuel, we use VP Racing QM25. That's one of the new unleaded fuels. Up until this season we were able to run a leaded fuel. We also ran VP Rue 16, which was 116 octane. The QM25 is about the same octane rating. And just in case you're interested, it's about $19 a litre, $285 for 19 litres. So you don't waste it. It's a good thing the bike only uses about 500 mil on an 8 mile pass and a little bit over a litre on a quarter mile pass. So there you have it. There's a 3 or 4 episodes of letting you know about the Mistress and how much fun it is and what makes it tick. Hopefully you've enjoyed the insights, and I haven't gone too deep for most of you. It's just meant to be a bit of a fun insight. So enjoy, and we look forward to catching up at the track sometime. Cheers.